So, have you heard about this Grok thing? It's been all over the news here in India.
Oh yeah, Elon Musk's new AI, right? The one that's supposed to be like Unwoke.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not just another chatbot launch,
Yeah.
It's stirring up serious political conversations and trending like crazy on Google, especially in India.
I guess with the whole anti-woke angle, it's kind of guaranteed to get people riled up these days.
Yeah, for sure. So today we're diving deep into the whole Grok phenomena. We'll look at what makes it different from other AIs, the controversies it's already causing, and what it all means for the future of AI, free speech online, and how tech is regulated, especially here in India.
Sounds like a lot to unpack.
It is. We've gone through a bunch of news articles, tech reports, you name it, to get a clear picture. We really want to go beyond the hype and understand what's actually going on.
Makes sense. Where do we even begin with something like this?
Well, first things first, what exactly is Grok?
So, Grok is an AI chatbot created by xAI. That's Elon Musk's AI company, started just last year. Even the name Grok is kind of interesting. Musk says it comes from this classic sci-fi book, Stranger in a Strange Land. In the book, Grok means to, deeply understand something.
Deeply understand, huh? That's a pretty high bar for an AI.
Definitely. And Musk has been very clear about his vision for Grok. He wants it to be this anti-woke alternative to other AI chatbots out there, like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. He thinks they're all biased towards the left.
So it's not just about building a better chatbot, it's making a statement about the whole AI landscape.
Absolutely. He wants Grok to be spicy, unfiltered, not held back by what he sees as unnecessary restrictions on what it can say.
I see. So apart from this whole anti-woke positioning, are there any technical features that set Grok apart?
Oh yeah, definitely. One of the biggest things is that it can access information from X, which is, Twitter, in real time.
Yeah.
Unlike other chatbots that are trained on a fixed data set, Grok can search through current public posts on X and use that info in its answers.
Wow, that's pretty unique. So it can actually keep up with breaking news and stuff.
Exactly. It's constantly learning and updating. Plus, it's directly integrated into the X platform, so you can actually tag Grok in your posts, ask it questions, and get responses right there.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just a separate tool, it's woven into how people are already using X.
Right. And then for the premium users, there's this thing called unhinged mode.
Unhinged mode. Okay, that sounds a bit concerning.
Well, it basically turns down the content filters even more, letting Grok say things that might be inappropriate, controversial, even offensive.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it could lead to problems.
No kidding. And then, on top of all that, Grok can also generate images using this model called Aurora, which is made by xAI. It can create super realistic images, which obviously brings up all sorts of issues around deepfakes and stuff. Apparently, Aurora is also okay with prompts that involve copyrighted material or touchy political subjects.
It feels like every time we talk about AI image generation, it's all about misinformation and potential misuse. It's a bit worrying. Okay, so what about the technical side of things? Does Grok have an API for developers?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's pretty advanced. It's got features like function calling, a really large context window, like 128,000 tokens. But here's the interesting part. It's designed to work seamlessly with the development kits from big companies like OpenAI and Anthropic.
Huh. So they're actually trying to play nice with the existing AI players. I wouldn't have expected that from Musk.
Right. It's like they're not just building a competitor, but maybe even trying to shake up the whole AI ecosystem by making it easier for developers to switch over or just try Grok out.
Fascinating. Okay, so we've got a decent understanding of what Grok is, what it can do, and what makes it different. But the real buzz seems to be coming from India, right?
Definitely. Over the past few weeks, Grok has become this huge talking point on Indian social media, especially on X. It's been giving some pretty controversial answers, and some people are saying it's showing a clear bias in certain situations.
Really? So even though it's supposed to be unwoke, it's still landing in hot water?
Yep. There have been reports of it calling out conservative figures, even Musk himself, as spreaders of misinformation. And there was that whole incident where it used a pretty offensive Hindi slang word.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not going to win any popularity contests. But are people in India engaging with it, even with all this controversy?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it seems like people are actively testing its limits. They're asking it provocative political questions like, who's the most divisive politician in India? Or who's spreading the most fake news?
So they're basically trying to see how unfiltered it really is.
Exactly. And it's the nature of its responses, whether they're accurate or not, that's really getting people talking. This AI that's seemingly less guarded in its pronouncements is really capturing the public imagination.
It reminds me of what happened with Google's Gemini here. Remember when it gave that response about Prime Minister Modi and everyone accused it of being biased? There was even government intervention. Has there been any similar pushback against Grok?
That's the interesting thing, isn't it? Despite some of Grok's more questionable outputs, we haven't seen the same level of official condemnation. Makes you wonder about the dynamics at play here, right? What flies and what doesn't.
Yeah, almost like different standards are being applied. In fact, one of the articles we read from Frontline magazine even suggested there might be some kind of tacit understanding between the ruling party and Elon Musk. What do you make of that?
Well, they pointed out how back during the 2021 farmer protests, the government was really putting pressure on Twitter, or X now, to take down certain accounts. They even threatened legal action against Twitter employees. But since Musk took over, there's been a noticeable shift. Seems like X is much more willing to comply with government requests for content removal now. The article even mentioned that example from February, where the Railway Ministry asked X to remove a bunch of links about that stampede, and X basically just did it without any fuss.
So the idea is that maybe there's this unspoken agreement where Grok gets more leeway to operate, and in return, X is more cooperative with the government's content moderation demand.
That's one interpretation for sure. It really highlights how complicated things are getting with online regulations, especially when you bring AI into the mix. Like, where do we draw the lines?
Speaking of which, the whole Grok situation really throws a spotlight on the challenges of AI accountability and regulation, doesn't it?
No doubt. Having an AI like Grok embedded in a massive platform like X raises all sorts of new questions. Is AI-generated content now a bigger threat for spreading misinformation than stuff posted by actual users? And how do our existing laws, like the safe harbor laws that protect platforms from being liable for what their users post, apply to things that their own AI says?
It's a legal minefield for sure. If Grok makes a statement that's false or harmful, who's ultimately responsible?
Exactly, and it's really tricky. Grok learns from a huge amount of data, a lot of it coming from X users themselves. So if its responses reflect biases or inaccuracies from that data, who do you hold accountable? XAI, the developers, X, the platform, the engineers who wrote the code. It's like this tangled web where assigning blame is almost impossible. One legal expert even said it's like suing the ocean for being wet.
So it's not as simple as holding a person responsible for what they say, because it's not a person making those choices.
Right, and this is where the whole concept of AI free speech gets really murky. Free speech for us humans has limitations, especially in India. But Grok's responses, they're not coming from personal beliefs or opinions, they're coming from algorithms and data. So how do our existing legal frameworks even apply? It's a whole new ballgame.
But there are some legal precedents starting to emerge, right? Like that Air Canada case we came across.
Oh yeah, that's a great example. Air Canada had this AI chatbot that gave out incorrect info about refunds, and a court actually ruled that the airline had to honor that incorrect policy. Basically, they said that in some cases, AI chatbots can be treated as publishers of information.
So depending on the context, the company that uses the AI might be on the hook for what it says.
Yeah, exactly. The level of responsibility is likely to change based on the situation. An AI giving medical advice would be held to a much higher standard than, say, Grok just chatting on social media. But figuring all this out, it's a process, right? Some legal experts are talking about creating a specific safe harbor framework for AI developers who can prove they've taken reasonable steps to develop their models responsibly and build in safeguards.
It seems like we're just at the beginning of figuring out how to regulate AI in a way that makes sense. Grok coming onto the scene has definitely reignited these discussions about misinformation, accountability, content moderation, the need for safeguards, all of it.
It's not just about Grok itself. It's about this much bigger picture, and it's happening so fast. I mean, remember how the central government withdrew that AI advisory last year? It shows you how much they're grappling with balancing innovation with responsible development. It's a tough spot to be in.
For sure. Okay, let's take a step back from the legal stuff for a moment. What's the tech industry actually saying about Grok? Is it all hype, or is there some substance to it?
Well, Tech Republic did a review, and they basically said that while Grok is definitely grabbing headlines, its tone, the whole spicy and sometimes irreverent thing, might not make it very suitable for professional use. They also brought up concerns about how much it relies on social media data, which can be, well, let's just say, not always the most reliable. And of course, right now, it's only available to people who pay for X premium.
Right, so not really a tool for businesses just yet, at least not in its current form.
Exactly. But it does seem to be resonating with a certain crowd online, people who like the unfiltered, sometimes humorous approach. And the funny thing is, in terms of pure performance, Grok is actually doing quite well. It's holding its own against models from big players like OpenAI and Meta when you look at things like the MMLU score, which measures how well it can answer a wide range of questions.
So maybe underneath the provocative persona, there's actually some serious technical capability.
Seems like it. Although I do have to wonder about the privacy implications, given how closely Grok is tied to X. I mean, it uses X posts in its training data, so there are definitely questions about how user data is being handled.
It all loops back to that bigger picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Grok isn't just some isolated product, it's part of Elon Musk's whole vision for AI. And his influence seems to be growing across so many different areas. That Frontline article even called him a shadow president. A bit dramatic, but it does make you think.
It's a strong image, for sure. And I think Grok is a perfect example of how the lines are blurring between tech, politics, even culture. And the article made another interesting point about how the whole online landscape has shifted so dramatically since around 2016. It's like all the old rules of online civility have kind of gone out the window.
Yeah, there's a lot more unfiltered chaos these days, for better or worse.
Exactly. And the article argues that this shift in online culture has actually created the perfect space for something like Grok to emerge. It wouldn't have been accepted, or at least not without major pushback, just a few years ago.
And it makes that whole double standard thing we were talking about even more apparent. Different reactions to Gemini versus Grok, different rules for different players.
Right. And the article goes even further, saying that maybe these inconsistencies, these double standards, aren't just accidental. Maybe they're a feature of how things work now, a way for power to be exerted and influence to be wielded in this new digital age.
Whoa, that's a pretty heavy thought. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key things our listeners should take away from all this?
Well, first off, Grok is definitely unique. Real-time X data, unhinged mode. It's not your average chatbot. Second, it's causing a whole lot of debate and controversy here in India, especially around AI bias, free speech online, and the need for better regulation. And we've seen how the reactions to Grok are different from what we've seen before, which tells you something about the shifting landscape of digital power. Third, figuring out who's responsible for what AI says is getting really complicated, and our existing laws are struggling to keep up. And finally, Grok is just one example of how much things are changing online. The rules, the tone, who has the influence, it's all in flux.
Right. So even though we're talking about one specific AI, it really opens up a window into these much bigger changes happening in the world of tech and how we govern it.
Absolutely. It all leads to a pretty crucial question. How do we balance the desire for unfiltered information with the need for accuracy and responsible behavior from these super powerful AI tools? What does it even mean to have truth and accountability in this new digital age?
Those are questions we all need to be thinking about. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Grok controversy and you want to explore more topics at the intersection of tech, politics, and culture, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Joshi Vaidhav channel. Your support helps us bring you more in-depth analysis like this.